Talk, where we are dishing up some depth. My name is Hannah. I'm a dietitian here to offer you new perspectives focusing on well being versus weight. And then we have my friend, Miss Shannon, who is a host of Having a Mom Moment podcast. So hopefully you've gotten to watch a couple episodes at this point, but if not, make sure to go back and catch some of your favorites. Today, I thought we could talk about anti-aging because we're women and it's a real thing to talk about. And it's funny how, like I am noticing things, like I'll look in the mirror and I can even point it out on the lighting that I've got going on of just like different bags happening with age and, like the lines, the new things. It's like that, oh, that's new
Mm.
since feeling as if like yesterday. But I remember for, I guess I'm nearing 40 now. So actually tomorrow is my birthday. So
Tomorrow?
I know.
Our
So,
birthdays are really close, by the way. But anyway.
oh, yay. Okay. So yeah, all to say, I think what happens, and this is something I do talk about in the Wholesome Collective, which is a safe space for people to explore their health journey outside of dieting. We talk about that it's so common for women to be talking about which skincare items do you use and like what can I get to like work on these fine lines and what can I get, what serums or something for the bags under my eyes. And that's a very common conversation and it's welcomed. It's like, ooh, let's talk skincare. But like, actually, what about like the gap of life that actually is before that to work towards prevention of needing those things? Like being in a space of like, let's talk about how actually food, nutrition, lifestyle is affecting our aging process and seeing what we can do to learn more to prevent what's to come. Like it's not to say I'm in denial of aging or refusing it. I mean, honestly, not even resistance, but it does make me realize that like my overall lifestyle is actually showing up for me that people like can't believe my age when I tell them, or like, you know, I'll I'll just I still don't even wear makeup or foundations or anything. And I'm not like tooting my own horn. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's a huge piece of the anti-aging process that I've been able to kind of figure out. And so I thought we'd chat about that today.
Let's do it, please. And remind me that it's not too late to start.
Mhm. That's a very good point. Yeah, no, I don't think it is. It's really just a matter of your body is always healing itself, like literally as we're sitting here, and it's always focusing on fighting disease and helping your body just become its best version. And so our job is to like provide it what it needs to do that job. So I'll always hear like food is fuel, right? But how often are we actually fueling our stress eating habits or our boredom eating habits or our comfort eating habits? We're listening to what sounds good so much. And then sometimes we'll like, ooh, I want to do good today and choose a healthy meal. But it's like mostly we're not thinking about fueling our body. We're tendencies of like just the crazy life we live in, we fuel our habits. And so
Yeah.
fueling our body to me means just kind of focusing on what nutrition, what about it? Meaning like not counting calories, not obsessing about macros and tracking protein or focusing on eat this and not that. It's actually more so like understanding what about nutrition works to heal our body. And so I talked about these things in the past, but what's always talked about is like high protein. Our body needs protein and then collagen and all of that. And yes, like our body uses protein to repair, meaning muscles, skin, hair, all of that good stuff. But the real, and I call them nutrition ninjas for anti aging, are phytonutrients and antioxidants. So you can definitely fuel your body with protein and if you're thinking about, just what that means for fuel, great, but focusing on the colors and the dark leafy greens and the variety and balance in your intake is where you're going to get the anti-inflammatory properties, which is where you're going to get the antioxidants, which help with damaged cells, preventing those damaged cells from damaging more cells, which affects your skin. And therefore, it's just this like ongoing healing process. If your body's in a state of lack of inflammation or lack of anti-inflammatory, I know, I'm sorry if those are mixed and matched words, but lack of antioxidants, then it does to that healing process. Does that make sense, or did I just confuse you? It's
It does.
okay.
No, no, it
Okay.
does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. I can see where there are gaps in my own nutrition.
Well,
That
that's
could
why
be aiding and abetting my aging.
but it's like in like you guys have heard me talk about the whole dieting mindset because it's like when you're dieting, you're thinking, I have to have high protein, low carb, and I have to have low calorie, and I have to have lean meats. It's all dieting. It has nothing to do with healing of your body because that's
Yeah.
calorie focused. But when you're like, wait, how can I make a meal that maximizes anti-inflammatory properties, and then vitamins and minerals? So vitamin C and vitamin E. Vitamin C is going to be, well, actually, we know of it to be in like citrus fruits, other fruits, but it also can be in greens like parsley, which is a delicious herb, bell peppers,
Mm,
kiwis. So lots of variety of ways to get vitamin C. And then vitamin E is often in foods that have healthy fats, so nuts and seeds type foods. Eating them together works synergistically to actually help your anti-aging and protect it from sun damage. So it's like if you think about a salad as a dieting food, it's not going to be very tempting. But if you have a salad with bell peppers, even sprinkling some parsley, plus you have nuts and seeds on your salad, you're actually doing a huge favor towards anti-aging. Think of that. And if you lived a lifestyle of those types of habits, it adds up.
mm-hmm.
That's anti-aging to me. I mean, you talk about all the serums you want, but you can't quite reverse what's happened. You can only just make some shifts into it. And yes, you can like feed your skin different things to help with its elasticity, but there's still an amount of prevention you can do through things like that.
Like this is the first time I've heard this in this context. I mean, I've
Mhm.
only heard like drink more water. It's better for your skin. Like that's the extent of it. So
Yeah.
it makes perfect
Mhm.
sense. But thank you for bringing it to the light.
Yeah, and water is important too, but like what if you have more tea, which green tea offers antioxidants
Mm,
while you're drinking water?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that's the fun of a health journey. Like if you're obsessed and frustrated in your health journey, like I'm so sorry, but you're doing it wrong because it's actually super fun to feel empowered and making confident decisions. That's like, oh my gosh, this is aging my skin and this is helping my digestion and this is making my nails grow and like just like learning about the power of nutrition outside of dieting. And that's where I was in the dieting mindset. And then when I did more education and research, kind of got deeper into my dietetics career, it was like, phew, swift shift. Wow, that was a hard sentence. And it never was an issue again. My weight was never an issue again without even monitoring the scale, without tracking 1 calorie, and without going on one diet. It was that swift shift that literally created the consistency, meaning not all or nothing, but just longevity, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So And so when
Can
you say
you?
it's not too late, sorry to say that, when you're like, it's not too late, it's like, my goodness, like imagine in 10 years of focusing on something for 10 years, like, and not even all or nothing again, but just also when we talk what like how you hear like fried foods. If you come from a dieting mindset, you're thinking like high fat, and that's not too many calories, right? Like that's too many calories. And when you're coming from disease prevention, fried food typically can be like bad for your heart health, or yes, it can be high fat. But actually, saturated fat also can contribute to aging. So they found that
Mm,
women, I know it's kind of like most often, is it the saturated fat or is it the foods that have saturated fat? But women who ate lower amounts of saturated fat ongoing looked 6 years younger than comparatively in just a
Wow.
research study I found. So saturated
Interesting.
fat and usually foods that are high in saturated fat can also contribute to aging.
Mm. Fascinating. Great. Great.
It's good. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like crap, all the things that I love, but also
Yeah,
it's that
that's
easy, right?
no, but the best part about it is when you're not all or nothing, you
Right.
don't care when you go and have some french fries
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's not your lifestyle. And in fact, you enjoy them a million times more and they satisfy you 10 times earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. I'm not there
Mhm.
yet, but that's
We'll
why
get you.
I'm the one here asking the questions like, please say more because I
Well,
don't understand.
that's like the best. I don't even know if the listeners on this call might know, but that's our dynamic where I am a dietitian and Shannon kind of is like, I'm eager to learn more about health nutrition, but doesn't have that health and nutrition
Right.
background, which is what makes this conversation so authentic. So
Oh
thank
yeah.
you for being here.
I'm not playing dumb over here. This is the real thing.
Oh my God. So true. Okay. Did you have a question
I
before I go on?
did.
Yeah.
Can you share from your experience working with different people from different lifestyles who start to implement and integrate these things that you're sharing? On average, when are people starting to notice a shift in the way that they're feeling, in their body, in their weight if they're paying attention to
Mhm.
weight? Because sometimes it feels very discouraging, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to hold this line for 30 to 60 to 90 days. Am I gonna see anything? What are you
Mhm.
seeing?
Okay, so such a good question. And truthfully, I don't know why I chose this sentence today, but this swift shift is resonating in the sense of like, hopefully you just get this like aha moment that's like, whew, you just like did this transition. But no, when you really see the difference, you let go of this like expected outcome. And that
Yeah.
letting go allows the consistency.
Ooh.
So it's not like easy for people to commit to that thought process and just like the letting go. However, when you're doing it as a matter of like, this is nutrition for self care, then there is no end game. So there's no matter of like, oh, if I'm not getting results now, then I should be done, or I'm not doing this, or I'm ready to throw in the towel. Because it's not about results, it's not about an outcome. It's like, this is a way of living to prioritize my health as a level of self care. Because now you've done the work to connect to your self worth, which most cases I see a huge disconnect with the people that struggle the most in their health journey. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of that shift. But as far as, I mean, things that they'll notice would be their digestion improves within 2 weeks. They'll see like things that they were struggling with. And if they do work on that for 2 weeks, they'll notice that. Skin, I don't know, but that's a huge thing I hear is that their skin improves. A huge thing I hear is that they tolerate seasonal allergies better, which shows me less inflammation.
Hmm.
Weight loss typically is really hit or miss for people. And it really just matters where they were to where they're coming in, right? How severe are those habit changes? How severe was the relationship with food to the changes they're making? Because so that's not going to be the same for everybody. And then the biggest thing is that the difference of what we're doing is not a quick fix because
Right.
you're worth more than quick entertainment. So it's like, if you let go of the waiting for the quick fix, then really it feels pretty dang quick because you forget that you're expecting it. And all of a sudden you're like, why don't these jeans look right? Did I forget to wash them or dry them? You're like, oh, because they don't quite fit anymore. And it's where it's like effortless weight loss because you're not obsessing about this and you just continuously work on this development in your progress in your journey. And then like all of a sudden it's like, oh, where did that come from? Because I forgot that's what I even came here for. Because everything else is way more interesting than your jean size. And guess what?
100%.
Everybody in your life is more interested in you other than your gene size. And the
Yeah.
only way that you make it interesting to them is because you're obsessed with it, right? If you just let go of the feeling of judgment, they have no capacity to judge you because you don't receive it. You're not open to
Right.
it.
Right. Right.
And it's just
It,
all us. And like the only way to really see that is to like be past it.
yeah.
Usually. It's hard.
Yeah. 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 It's a journey though, but it's like the example, like if I was
Mhm.
like, Hannah, your hair is green, like you don't even hear it. You're like, what? No, my hair isn't green, right? Because you're not, that's not where your
Mhm.
focus is. That's, you're like, I'm impenetrable. Like, no, thank you. That's not me. Yeah.
That's a new word to me. Shannon, say it again. Let's hear it
Im-
again.
impenetrable.
Yes.
I can be here for vocab.
Yes. I love
Oh,
that. That is to be like, I'm gonna
mhm.
put that on a shirt.
Ooh, do it.
If you don't know, I make shirts focusing on well-being. Anyways, shameless plug there. No, but really. So when it comes to anti-aging, it's funny because we resist what we have control of, but then attract to what is like going to change what we had control of.
Say
It's
more,
like we
please.
have control of our eating habits and our lifestyle and the access to knowledge of nutrition. And we can make those changes, which can prevent a lot of aging happening. But instead of paying attention and money to that, we typically will go and pay attention and money to what will fix what just is. Does that
Mm,
make more sense?
yeah,
It's
totally.
kind of a
Totally.
complicated way of saying it, but all to say, it's like we ignore the fact that we can focus on anti aging through nutrition and self care, but instead we will pay attention and money to fixing what we couldn't or wouldn't spend time and money on.
Isn't that so true for a lot of areas of life, though?
It is. I mean, and I'm there in my own way in other things. So not my
Right.
health journey, but probably my in other ways. We're not here for
Mhm.
that conversation. But it's fine. It's just like when it comes to your health, my gosh, it's like just yeah. Why do we care so much about anti-aging and weight? Because we put so much pressure on what other people think. And if
Yeah,
we
and it's
reduce some of that
everywhere.
pressure, yeah, it wouldn't be such a shame and guilt cycle if it wasn't so much pressure to look a certain way or be a certain size.
Yeah. Yeah, and that takes a lot of internal work because it's everywhere.
Mm.
I was getting my hair done a couple weeks ago, and there was a girl talking about, um, the things that she had done, and she was getting long extensions, which I love hair, I mean, do your thing, and how she gets Botox. I don't know the frequency, but all the time, and then come to find out she's 25, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay, okay, alright." We still have some work to do as a collective. Got it. Got it. I thought we got past like the fat shaming and like all the, that crap from the early 2000s. And
Mhm.
now it's apparently having wrinkles of any kind or your face moving with your emotions is not cool. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know. I know. It's hard because filters, I mean, gosh, this is away from anti aging, but it is in alignment with anti aging. Filters can literally take off what 20 years on your life. They give you the baby face and they give you the pink cheeks and the puffy lips or whatever they do, which implies to other people like that's normal. That's what we should strive for. That's what's accepted. And so, yeah, even these perfect faces at 25 are still striving towards more perfection when really it's like, that's toxic, really. I don't
Mm,
know. Not saying people that do Botox are toxic. It's just like filters. I honestly think filters are bad. Like when people are putting them in their kids' faces and their kids are seeing themselves look like a filter perfect face. Like, I don't know. I don't think
yeah.
we should, guys.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but have you noticed, are you an Apple user? I'm an Android user. So I have Google
Mhm.
Photos and it like automatically polishes pictures now. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
Wait a second, Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Like, I'm okay. This is the way I
Yeah.
look. For now, I'm fine. I'm fine. But like,
Yeah.
I'm like seeing two
Yeah.
different versions of myself at the same time. Just
Wow.
existing.
I did not know. I know,
Mhm.
and I do try to like post my stories without filters and everything. Sometimes I do it to hide my background or something, but for the most part, like even now, like I could have went and put on a ton of makeup or made my eyelashes big and whatever, but I want to somewhat work towards normalizing real life and accepting aging because I'm not in denial. Like I said, I'm not saying we all need to eat healthy to avoid aging, but in fact, it's just healing your body, and that's a level of it. And when you do that over and over and a long time, it contributes to your risk of disease, which protects your quality of life. And that I do care about.
Mm. I have a
Yeah.
quick question, which may not have a quick answer. So if it doesn't, we can pause it for another time. But have you seen or learned of contributing factors to women specifically who are living into their late 90s and early uh, hundreds? Is there like a common denominator that you're seeing in the dietetics world that may be contributing to this longevity?
Well, there was a huge generational, like, I don't know about your grandparents. I can speak for mine. One of my grandmas is still alive, and like I said, I'm nearing 40, so so blessed. And the other grandma, she passed away a couple years ago, but she was 101,
Wow.
still in assisted living and no medications. And my grandpa, who was married to her, died at like 93. He did have Alzheimer's, but he did not have medications and no other physiological disease, right? So
Mhm.
heart health was good and everything like that. So I can really speak into like their lives. And the biggest shift that I think I'm seeing is that both my grandparents grew up with a giant garden and lived a giant garden till like pretty much their adult, like elderly life.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
having that huge garden means that they usually had too much produce, which means that they canned it and ate it all year round. Not
Mhm.
only that, when you grow your own food, you typically have a better respect for it. You feel better while you're eating it. You tend to enjoy things such as onions, which maybe you wouldn't otherwise. But when you grow one and you get a fresh one and you see how sweet it is versus how sometimes it's not sweet because it's dehydrated when you get it at the grocery store. Obviously, they're most nutritious right after harvest. So, in my opinion, back then gardens were very normalized as a way of living. And obviously, the wife typically didn't work, so she had time to garden, and it was her priority to feed the family nourishing, balanced meals. And that shift now went from that to overworked, overtired, two incomes, and overstressed. No time
Yeah.
for a garden. And the garden you do have is just a trial and error, and you don't have time to can and preserve. And that's not everybody clearly, but it's definitely, coming to be the norm. We're getting less land because we need more, convenience as far as being closer to town or taking the bus or whatever it is. So we have less land, so we have less growth opportunity. Um, that's a big thing I'm seeing. So just in general, yes, they ate the lard and they smoked and whatever, but majority of their consumption of food was through the garden. They also didn't have access to convenience food like we do now. I mean, I know like people demonize processed food, sure, but are you actually eating enough fruits and vegetables to qualify that? Because most
Mhm.
cases, people just like shame sugar, shame processed food, oh God, to liquor, right? But it's like, but are you actually fully focused on incorporating nutrition for self care too? Because that's more so focusing on what you're adding than obsessing about what you're not eating. Do you see the
Mm,
difference?
yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a piece. And as far as they had more kids, and yeah, so they did drink less in a lot of cases. I think they just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy some beverages myself, but all to say, like, it wasn't as much of a priority because they didn't have the time and they were had so many kids to take care of. I
Mhm.
do also think they didn't have time, in a way to. Well, first of all, we all know social media is toxic AF, but they mostly, like, if you look at how they spent quality time, it was usually pretty joyful. Like, I can say from my family, they played cards around the table and they gathered and did yard games. And this was just for fun. It wasn't for this big celebratory event or whatever.
Right.
They talked on the phone and laughed and made time for friends. They cared about others and wrote letters, right? All of those things, even giving and caring, is part of connecting to your self worth. And that
Yeah.
all just kind of seemed to melt away. I mean, we're too busy to care about anybody else. We're too focused on like this whole like self-love thing is different than self-worth, right? So this like obsessing about ourselves is different than connection to self-worth. But now because of comparison on social media, we're obsessed about that. We're stressed, we're working too much, we're overtired. And
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. So that's, in my opinion, the lifestyle shift went from they were busy, they had a lot to do, but overall it was simpler.
Yeah. For sure.
And now we are very busy, overwhelmed, complicated, and we have access to everything at our fingertips. So whether we cope through social media, through sugar, through fast food, through obviously beverages, like whatever our coping is, it's at our fingertips. And they didn't have that back then, really. I mean, they got excited about them getting like a Coke at some point, right? That was their
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
they didn't even get soda. So all of that is just the access was different and the lifestyle was simpler and they were happier.
Yeah. I
That's
like how you
all my
mentioned.
opinion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, but I think
Okay.
a huge thing, and you've touched on before, is the cortisol, and from us being so busy and da 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 da. Da. Yeah, yeah. And my grandmother will be 97 this September if she stays that long. Her dad was almost 101 when he passed, and she understands mothering because she had two children as well, but she doesn't understand the load of today. It's just so different. So that's a really interesting point, which brings it all back to why it's even more important to take care
Mhm.
of ourselves and pay attention to what we're eating because of what we're up against.
Well, and like even if we're going to talk about anti-aging, not even in a vanity way, but anti-aging also contributes to our mind and our mental health and our longevity in that. And it also contributes to, just everything. So it's like not just about how you look. It's also as a matter of contributing to overall disease prevention through, yes, helping with understanding anti-aging with nutrition and lifestyle.
Yeah,
Now I just
so
miss my
good.
grandmas.
Oh, so good. Call your grandma if if they're around
Yes,
still.
yes, so true.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, sweet friend. I hope you all join us back here Tuesdays at 2 Central Standard Time as a way we can gather around the table, have these conversations, and hopefully focus on enjoying the journey.
See you next
All
time.
right. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Cheers.